In today's video, we're going to be diving back into more of the first Berserker Khazan, and for this one I'm going to be going over a skill that I think a lot of people will completely skip out and not use whatsoever, but it's one that when you do start using it, you realise it's one of the most powerful skills in the game, and that's going to be that of Reflection. This skill is absolutely amazing for destroying bosses' stamina. I'd say it's hands down one of the strongest skills in the game once you start trying to kind of master it. Now the reason I'm putting this video out is because in a few days time we're going to have the boss rush modes hitting us, and I think this could really help a few people out to tackle and take down some of the toughest content. Now if you've never used Reflection before, the main reason you'll be using this is because it depletes stamina better than any move in the game. You're going to use it very similar to if you were using a kind of standard parry on any other game, but honestly it's like you've got to kind of hardwire your brain a little bit differently in order to start making this work for you, because it does take a lot of timing and you do need to kind of work around the boss's attacks in order to get the most benefit from this. One thing to note however, this doesn't work on every single attack. Things like burst attacks, grab attacks and even some standard or charged attacks don't allow for this to actually work on them, so you do kind of need to work out bosses' routines, and it definitely works on the slower bosses a little bit easier than some of the faster paced bosses. Now if we go over to the Reflection tree, then there's a whole bunch of nodes that you can pick up, but some of them are definitely worth investing in a little bit more than the others. One of the first ones you can pick up is the Reflection Offense, which is going to give you a little bit of extra damage. This is nice but not essential, and in fact I'd say the armor one works out a little bit better, especially when you're learning the mechanics of this, because you're going to get less damage whenever you're using Reflection in case it kind of goes wrong. Then you have Reflection Swift, which is one you're going to want to pick up as soon as you possibly can invest into it, because this allows you to pull off the reflection much faster. Other than that, you'll also have Reflection Tenacity, which can help so that you don't get your stance broken whatsoever, but the main one, whenever you are able to unlock this, will be investing in the final node as much as possible, the Reflection Expert, as this is going to give you a bigger window of opportunity in order for making this whole thing work. Now first and foremost, if you are trying to get back to the basics of working out how Reflection works and getting good at it, I would say 100% go into your training grounds. Pick some of the kind of slower moving enemies. I always find the Lunatic Destroyer is an absolute great one, and then just go about how you would normally play, doing your blocks, getting used to it, and then trying to kind of put in Reflection whenever you're able to pull it off and you believe you've got the right timing going. If you're anything like me, you will get this wrong a whole bunch of times before it starts to click. And remember, each enemy or each boss that you're facing will have slightly different patterns of attacks when you're fighting them, as well as slightly different pace of their overall attacks as well. I found the slower enemies are much easier to use this on, so I'd highly recommend trying to use it on some of these enemies in the training ground first. And the main thing when using this skill that you got to try and aim for is to make your actual weapon kind of clash with their weapon or whatever they're using at the time at the exact same time. This will result in a kind of clash that leaves them vulnerable, takes off a massive amount of their stamina, and leaves them open for a big old bit of follow-up damage. Honestly, it takes a bit of getting used to, because I, even now after playing for quite some time with Reflection, will miss quite a few of these. But I'd say when you're hitting about 60 or 70% of them, you're absolutely perfect. And even if you're not good on some of the bosses with them, then only use it when you think there's a window of opportunity, or they're attacking you with a move that you know you can definitely get the best of them with. One thing I would say, when you're learning the mechanics of this, two great phantoms to be using that can really help you out would be Adelaide the Philanthropic, as they're going to give you a really nice amount of extra health recovery in case things do go wrong, as well as decreased damage whenever you're popping one of your Netherworld energies. If you don't want to use them and you're thinking more about using your Brink cards alongside these reflections, then you may want to look at Maximilian the Impenetrable, as they'll be an absolutely amazing one for keeping up a bit of your stamina and just making it easier overall in order to keep up your combat. Now once you feel like you have got good enough at Reflection, you should head straight out and tackle some of the bosses. And the great thing about this, remember, with Reflection is you're going to be holding block before you actually activate it anyway, so if you want to and you're not 100% sure with the timing, just keep hold of block just before you're going to use it. That way you shouldn't be taking too much damage or any damage whatsoever, even if you're timing things wrong sometimes. But once you do start getting the hang of this, you'll be able to absolutely decimate those bosses, take down their stamina bar very quickly, especially if they do a burst attack before or after this, and then you can lead up with a whole bunch of extra damage. Sometimes you won't even realise some of the phases that you can do this in, like the second phase of Viper when he goes into that pitch black state and starts doing those ranged charge attacks at you. That works amazingly, it works amazingly on him there, but like I said, it is going to be a bit hit and miss until you kind of learn the boss mechanics and what works for each one of them. I think this will work really well and will probably help a lot of people through the new boss rush modes that are going to be hitting the first Berserker on the 15th, so that's something I wanted to bring a bit of attention to just in case anyone hasn't got around to using it yet. Personally, I didn't use this until all the way into my New Game Plus Plus, and afterwards I felt like I could have got through some of the bosses a lot faster if I'd have been using this a bit earlier. Remember, you don't have to use this on every boss, so if you want to tackle some of them standard, for example some of the faster ones, because the faster they are, the harder this is to kind of get at, but when you do get used to it, you're going to find that there'll be certain opportunities on almost every boss in order for you to take advantage of reflection and take them down a whole bunch faster because of it. But yeah, there'll be more content away from me as soon as the boss rush modes hit on the 15th. They've also said there should be some new gear dropping in it, so I'm hoping to do them and let you know what's actually up for grabs. And of course, then I'll be covering Elden Ring Night Rain when it's out on the 30th as well. So hopefully some of you join me there on that content as well. But as always, for all things gaming, take care. I'll see you on the next day.